Keep on swimming. Yes, welcome to the fourth Magical Musings, my little mini-series of my review of the last month, the past few guests, and things that I am working on. Now, I've called it Keep on Swimming because there's been a couple of events in the last month that I've been trialling new material, trialling new things in my keynotes, and I've had a bit of a strange experience, which I'm going to write an episode about this, about feedback is a gift, which is sometimes unwrapped. I'm going to talk about this in another episode, but I've had a few experiences which is kind of not kind of knocked me down, but it's made me think a little bit more. And it's made me try to realign a couple of things in my mind and maybe think that maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was, and maybe there's a bit of work that could be happening, which is great. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reviewing this in another episode, but I want to talk about, I've been doing a couple of keynotes in the PSA, some showcases, received some feedback that wasn't quite the feedback that I really wanted, but it's made me think about, well, actually, do you know what? There's a message here. When does it get to a point that, you keep on going with your dreams, you keep on pushing through, that eventually something might get in the way, an obstacle or a barrier, and what do you do with that? Do you work around it? Do you just go back home and turn around? Well, I'm not that kind of person, as many people will know through this podcast. So I heard some really challenging feedback from one of the showcases at PSA that really made me think, what on earth is this? But in correlation with this, I also interviewed a fantastic guy called Steve Judge, who is a gold medalist, world champion para-triathlete. And he's coming up on season 4. We're going to launch season 4 with his episode. And he has this idea about keep on swimming. And he had this great quote about 10,000 hours. Now, Malcolm Gladwell has publicised this and made this quite famous in the book Outliers. But it talks about how the mastery to learn anything is 10,000 hours. If you can put in 10,000 hours, you'll master your craft. So if it's speaking, if it's magic, 10,000 hours, you'll be a master. Now, Steve Judge actually complemented this idea with something in his book, which I've got for the video here. For anyone in the Patron community, you can see this little video of the Magical Musings. It's called Don't Lean on Your Excuses. It is about Steve and how he had a really bad accident at 28, nearly lost his legs, went through a huge rehabilitation program, and then eventually became a world champion para-triathlete. So that's swimming, running, and cycling. Absolutely inspiring story, which I'll be sharing soon. But the thing he talked about in the book was about, I certainly didn't have 10,000 hours. I just had to make the hours count. And I think that's so wise. I think that actually, you know what? There's this idea of being a master, but, if you was to do 10,000 hours, then I might be 70, 80 years old before I'm even a master in my craft, in speaking, or even in magic. We haven't got time for that. Now, I appreciate there is a balance of this, of the impatience-ness as well. And I am quite an impatient man. It's because I'm a millennial. I'm born in that way. But I'm really now starting to think about, actually, you know what, Steve? He's right. That actually, probably haven't got 10,000 hours, but I'm going to just make sure all the hours count. I'm going to be the best version of myself in everything that I do and keep on working it. The balance with that is that I'm going to try to slow down a little bit with a bit of impatience. And there's this thought I'm having, which I'm going to release on an episode coming soon, about the idea of, well, what if you were to go viral tomorrow? What if your talk or your business or your keynote or your business was just to explode tomorrow and just go bang? Would you be ready for it? So we talk about all these things that we really want in life, but actually there's this impatience fueling this. Are you actually ready for it? And I'm going to explore that idea. The other thing is, obviously, linked with this, a weird experience, lots of amazing guests. Really enjoyed talking to Michelle Lloyd, Mel Louisu, who's coming on soon, and obviously Steve Judge. But one of the things that Steve talks about is keep on swimming. And he talks about this idea of that, whatever is get thrown into your life, you have to keep on swimming. And I thought it'd be really cool. So my thinking going forward with this musing is that, you know what? Maybe there's a bit of impatience in my life. I need to kind of bring that back. Maybe I need to start focusing on what's the most important things. And as I've shared before, family, fun, flexibility, that is going to be my 3 main values in my life. Let's just go with the idea that whatever I dream and aspire to be, that will come. So let's just enjoy this ride right now, because who knows what's around the corner, especially in what's going on in the world right now. It's such a sad, difficult place. But as Steve says, there's a thing here, and I'm going to read this to you, which will be in an episode coming soon. An analogy that I use is, if you imagine me swimming in the sea, I'm a long way out and I'm a good swimmer, but my goal, land, is far away. The only way that I'm going to get there is to keep swimming. I have to keep working hard, because if I stop, I'll drown. Looking up and seeing my goal, that thing that drives me onwards, is what motivates me. Now, I could hang on to a life raft to be safe, a bit like having a part-time job to stay buoyant. But if I do that, if I hang on to this life raft, then I'm never going to reach my goal. So I've pushed any such life raft away, and I swim indomitably every day towards my goal. Keep on swimming. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Keep on swimming, keep pushing for that dream, balance with a bit of patience and not be impatient, and just keep on pushing and choosing the feedback that I want to hear that's going to help and not hinder me. But we'll have more on that on an episode coming soon, which I talk about feedback and how feedback's going to be a gift. I'm going to wrap up for season 4 pretty soon. Wrap up season 3, ready for season 4. But thank you for listening to this. This is part of my mini-series. You can go back to listen to the other 3 episodes of my musings and my thoughts and my reflections of the past month. And yeah, go ahead and take a listen to them. You can go find them in the previous episodes. As always, if you did enjoy this episode, then head over to Spotify or Podchaser and Apple. You can leave reviews now, and this will get this podcast shared to more people, as my big goal is to be in the top 10 for the self-improvement charts. But as always, thank you to the wonderful patrons of this podcast. This is you, Ant Howe, Cheri Brenton, Steve McDermott, and Rory Barnes. You are fueling and driving this podcast, so thank you so much for supporting that. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for listening to the episode, and we'll join you on another Magical Musings next month. Thank you. Goodbye.